Have you ever been going about your day and you see someone do something, the most easiest, the most simplest, the most normalest thing in the whole world, and then you realize, I can't do that? Well, I have quite a few of those. So if you're curious and you want to know more, don't go anywhere. Touch me, touch me, budget. I have to say, I've never really been good with money. My mum, she could stretch £1 into £1.50. I don't know how she did it. I don't know what miracle she pulled. I don't get it, but she was great at that. I didn't inherit that gene, so I struggle a little bit. When we go food shopping, which we do every Saturday afternoon, and I've noticed that lately, we've been spending triple than what we used to. Now I'm there scratching my head and I'm thinking, well, I'm not buying anything different really. We're more or less the same kind of thing, nothing over the top, nothing exaggerated. Why is it that everything is costing so much more? Well, I know that the cost of living has gone up, but still, I need to stay on top of it. I don't know how to balance things out. I never have. And now that I really need to, I'm really struggling. So I think I need to either get somebody in that can help me look and see how much is coming into the house and how much is leaving the house. That way I can balance things out better. I think I need help with it because I really am struggling, and it's something that I realize that I really cannot do. Picnic. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you are looking at me and thinking, is this girl crazy? Yeah, I said it, a picnic. Can't do it, friends. I cannot do it. I see all the movies and the shows where the guy takes the girl out for a picnic and they have a nice little picnic basket and they put like a plaid blanket on the floor and they sit down and they look at each other lovely in the eye and all that stuff. To me, that would be an absolute nightmare. I think I would cry. I would think, what have I done to you? Why do you hate me so much? I can't think of anything worse than sitting on top of grass with ants and insects and creepy crawlies and worms and all kinds of stuff underneath me. My imagination would be running all over the place. Talk about running wild. It would be an absolute horror film. So to avoid any of that, I avoid picnics altogether. So although I do love the idea, and I'm sure it's really romantic and it's beautiful, and especially with the sun on your face and a beautiful day, it sounds absolutely wonderful, but not for me. Ride a bike. Yeah, your girl can't ride a bike. I never have. I've tried to, no, I'm lying. I have tried half-heartedly, but I knew that it wasn't going to happen. I knew before I even got my ass on the saddle, I knew that it wasn't going to work for me. I like the idea of it. I like the freedom of it. I see like my daughter and her dad, they would go bike riding and spend the whole day out and have a picnic. And they loved it. And it's, great time to spend together. And it seems wonderful. It's just not for me. I just can't seem to balance on those two wheels. I like the idea of it. I wish I could to a certain extent. I'm sure I could actually even learn if I really put my mind to it. But not everything is for everybody. Not everybody can master everything. So I just accept the fact that I cannot ride a bike. Gardening. Now this, I think, goes hand in hand with a picnic. It's nice to see someone's home and they've got a beautiful garden outside. I guess that's what gardeners are for. Me personally, to have to put my hands into the soil and pull out worms and insects and spiders and God knows what else. I can't do it, friends. I cannot do it. Gardening is not for me. I remember years ago, we had some friends who had a beautiful vineyard in Tuscany. And it was around September and they were looking for people to come to help pick the grapes for harvest. And it's a wonderful idea. I loved the idea. So of course I volunteered to go. And I remember, I think it was probably the first vine that I came to, I saw a spider hanging off it. And I thought, oh, hell no. So I thought, you know what, I'm here and I want to be helpful. So I went and helped the lady of the house prepare dinners and prepare the meals for all the workers. And that was fine by me. But for me to be actively touching the vines with the insects and the wasps and the thing, can't do it, friends. I just can't do it. Can't do it. Can't do it. Sorry. If you've watched this channel before, then you will know that I love Hallmark movies. They're my favourites and they're great. Especially the Christmas ones. And in every Christmas Hallmark movie, one of the things that they like to do is to go ice skating. So is that a thing in Canada and the US? To go ice skating every Christmas. I mean, my daughter goes ice skating every once in a while, but not necessarily at Christmas. But I have never tried it. I have never put a pair of ice skating boots on my feet in my life. Never have. And the chances are at this point, I never will. I love ice skating. I admire people. I love watching people do it, especially when they're good. It's just not for me. Because if I should fall, okay, let me scratch that. When I fall, because there's no ifs and buts about it, I would fall. When I fall, how would I get up? Can somebody tell me, how would I get up? It makes no sense to me. It would be an embarrassment. I would have to sit there in the middle of the rink until somebody, I don't know who, some angel, somebody would have to come and get me out of there, because on my own accord, there is no way could I get up on those slippery things, and it just wouldn't be happening. So no, to avoid any kind of embarrassment or any kind of injury that I don't want and I can't deal with, no, my shoes are fine. Thank you. So many people have tried to teach me how to use chopsticks that it's ridiculous at this point. Everybody has a different theory. You kind of keep it between your thumb and your third finger, you keep it loose, you move it around, you do this, you do that. I've tried it all, doesn't work for me. Whenever I go out for a meal and I watch my daughter and she's like eating rice with chopsticks, eating fast, and I'm thinking, how the hell is she doing that? I wish I could use them, but I can't. But they always try to teach me while I'm at the dinner table, while I'm at the restaurant, around the table. When I'm hungry, I ain't got time to be learning nothing when I'm hungry. Teach me during the day when, I've just had my dinner. Then you can teach me. We can take all the time in the world. But if I'm sitting at the table and I'm hungry and all I want to do is eat, don't be teaching me nothing. That's the way I see it. I wish I could use them. They look pretty cool, but I can't. Navigate. And what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean is I have absolutely no sense of direction. I don't know how I don't get lost at the bottom of my road. I'm that bad. Honestly, at this point, people just laugh in my face and they mock me. If I'm in the car with somebody, they'll say, Ange, okay, so should I turn right or should I turn left? And rest assured, if I say turn right, I should have said left. If I say go left, it should have been straight ahead. And I've been driving for years too. And that's because I have my strategy and I have my roads. I know that there are certain places where I go to and I have to get there, use from A to B, using that particular road. God forbid something happens and there's an accident or there's roadworks and I have to take another street. Whoo, Panicsville. Panicsville, total Panicsville. And I can put on the sat nav all you want to. I still get the streets wrong, even with the sat nav. And forget about reading like a map, actually on paper. They just don't work. Well, not for me. But anyway, I do try. I really do try to get better. I'm still terrible, I'm afraid. It is what it is. Swimming, yeah, your girl can't swim. I mean, I can do a couple of strokes, but if I can't touch the ground, if my feet can't touch, then it's like a panic. And I know that I could swim myself to safety if I really tried, but there's a certain fear that takes over, and I don't know why. I remember a number of years ago, I was singing at Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt. We were there for about 2-3 weeks working in this club. And of course we used to work at night, but during the day we used to go to the beach. I remember one day I was on the beach and I was just taking in and soaking up the sun. And Fabrizio, the bass player, he came up to me and said, okay, that's it. We're going to go swimming and we're going to go and see the fishes. I remember thinking to myself, this guy's crazy. I wonder if he knows who he's talking to. And he said, Angie, I'm not taking no for an answer. You cannot come to Egypt. You cannot be on the Red Sea and not go and see the Barrier Reef. You just can't do it. It's so beautiful. You have to see it. You don't know what you're missing. So I thought, okay. So I put on a life jacket and I got some snorkels so that I could breathe. He said, hold my hand and we're going to go. I'm not going to let go of your hand. We're going to swim together. So I was holding his hand and we kind of swam out slowly out into the sea. And I remember that this world just opened up in front of me. The silence, the beauty, the colors, and seeing all these different fishes swimming by. I have to admit, it was one of the most amazing sights that I've ever seen. And I was emotional when I got back to ground because I never thought that it would ever happen to me because of my fear. Yeah, it really was a beautiful, beautiful sight. And I am so glad that he insisted that I go because it really was worth it. And one of the reasons why I was so scared of swimming is that years ago, when I was around 10, 11, every week my class used to go swimming. It was in Battersea in London, in Latchmere. And I remember I could swim a width, but I couldn't do the length of the pool because that way I'd have to go into the deep end and I was scared to not be able to touch. And I remember saying to my friend, I want to see how far I can swim, but if I get scared or if I get out of breath, can you help me? She said, yeah, I'll help you. So I started to swim and I got halfway and I couldn't touch anymore and I began to panic. And I asked her to help me, but she just stood there. She was panicked too. She didn't know what to do. So of course I went under. I started to drink a whole lot of water. And the lifeguards, I thought that they would jump in to try to help me. Yeah, right. They were going to get wet. So he had like a long pole, this long stick. And he started pushing it towards me. And he said, grab hold of it, grab hold of it. But I was in a panic. I couldn't see. My eyes were closed. I was all over the place. And finally, I managed to grab hold of this stick. And I was pulled to safety. But as you can imagine, that fear remained with me. And I remember telling my dad about it. And he said to me, the only way that you're going to get over this is if next week you go back and try again. And I thought, yeah, it sounds good. It sounds really good. And he was right. Of course he was right. You know, you have to get back on the horse, right? And I never did. And that fear has remained with me. And I'm disappointed that it has. I'm disappointed that I didn't try to conquer that fear. And I guess that if I really, really wanted to, I could take lessons and try to overcome that fear. A part of me thinks it's too late, even though I know deep down that it's never too late. And it's just an excuse. But, you know, if I really wanted to, I could do. And, you know, I'm seriously thinking about it. Ikea. Now, when I say Ikea, it's like all those instructions to put things together. When I look at instruction, this is what I see. I don't know how people do it. I have absolutely no clue. The other day, I bought some dining room chairs to put around the table. Of course, they were like a flat pack and you had to kind of assemble them. And I looked at it and I thought, if they're waiting on me to assemble those chairs, then everyone is going to be sitting around the dinner table cross-legged on the floor because it's not happening. And my daughter just sat there and she went, okay, yeah, okay, let me look. In about 5 minutes, she had all the chairs up and running. I was like, well done. I don't know how she did it. I admire her for it. I can't do it. She says that because I don't try. That's partly true, But every now and again, I do kind of throw my eye onto the instructions. But no, can't do it. Now, I have mentioned before that I'm a pretty decent cook. I mean, I'm okay. If people come to my house for dinner, they leave pretty satisfied. What I can't do, however, is bake a cake. I am absolutely hopeless. It's either never cooked enough in the middle, burnt, they don't rise. I don't know what it is, but I cannot bake cakes. Now, my daughter has a theory that it's because I don't really follow instructions. That's partly true. I don't. I'm of the school of eyeballing it. But even when I do follow the instructions, they never work for me. So, and I can hear a lot of you saying, you know what, Anne, you don't need to be baking any cakes. You don't need to be eating any cakes. Yeah, I know, you're right. I don't. But I like the idea of it, to be able to make a nice birthday cake, a nice Christmas cake. It's nice, right? But it's one of those things that I will try and try and try again. Who knows? Who knows? I might succeed one day. Now, one thing that I can't do, and that's whistle. I can't whistle normally. I can, a sound will come out, but I would love to be able to put my fingers into my mouth and do that really loud one that can get people attention. I can't do it. Even whistling normally. Hold on. Something comes out. I don't know. Sometimes you hear people and they're whistling really loudly and you can hear the melody and everything. I can't do all of that. But I would love to. I'd love to do that. It's very sexy, especially when men do it and they go, whoo, 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 you know, to kind of get your attention. I love all of that, but I can't do it. But a lot of people can do it, so how hard can it be? Now, I think that everybody who drives a car should know how to change a tire. Everybody should know how to do it. I can't. And I'm sure that a lot of people can't, because it's not easy. And I have to be honest, as a woman, twice that I've needed my tires changing. Once it was a random guy who stopped and helped me. I appreciated it so much. And the second time, he wasn't a random guy. I did know him, not a lot, but I knew him. And he called other guys and they came and they changed my tire. Thank you so much. And I think that sometimes men always seem to come through when they see a woman in distress. So I really do appreciate them. And I do love men for that. One thing I really do not have, which I wish I did, and that is green fingers. I love plants. I love having plants in my home. It makes everything just seem so homely and soft and beautiful. But for some reason, I just cannot keep them. I try to get plants that don't need a lot of maintenance, like a rubber plant or a cactus, and they stay years and years in the desert and survive. A week in my house, and those poor things are goners. I don't know whether I give them too much water or I don't give them enough water. I don't know if I give them too much sunlight or not enough sunlight. I don't know. I try everything. I try different plants. I put them in different positions. Sometimes I put them near the window. I put them away from the window, away from the heat sources. I try everything. It doesn't work for me. And I don't know why. I remember my dad, he used to love taking care of plants and he was really good at it and he could keep them. And my in-laws are wonderful with their plants. They have so many plants around the house. They grow and I see them grow. They've had some for years. I try. And the thought of killing a living organism, it hurts. I don't want to kill these plants because they're beautiful. So maybe I think the best thing for me and for them is to leave them alone and let somebody else take care of them. Now, another thing that I cannot do, and I think that everybody should be able to, and that is CPR. Because you never know, you could be out and about and somebody's ill and you could save a life. So a promise that I'm going to make to myself is that I'm going to seek some information and figure out where I can go to learn. Because, as I said, it's an important thing. If something did happen to someone, I wouldn't just want to be a passerby, an onlooker. I would like to actively help. So yeah, I will definitely seek that information and see where I can go to learn. Because everybody needs to learn that, I think. Now this final thing that I can't do. I think a lot of people are going to think she's crazy, but I swear to you, it's the truth. I have no idea how to use Windows. Zero, zilch, nada, niente, nulla, nothing. I have no idea. I don't know what it is because I've never had one. I'm a Mac girl. I've always ever used a Mac. For over 30 years, that's all I've ever had. All my laptops have been Mac, all my computers where I do music on have been Mac. So I have absolutely no idea how to use it. My first Mac, if I remember correctly, was the LC2. And if I'm not mistaken, it had like an 80 mega hard drive. Do you know how ridiculous that is? 80 mega? That is nothing. But that was my very first Mac and I fell in love with it and I felt as if I knew what I was doing. I was using a computer. And Mac makes me feel that way. It's not like I'm being sponsored by Mac or anything, but Mac makes me feel as if I know what I'm doing. And I really like the look of them, the feel of them. That's all I've ever known. So yeah, I have no idea how to use Windows. Crazy, right? So that's me all done. But before I go, you know me, I like to do a little bit of research and ask people and ask around and ask friends and family and even people who I don't know. I will stop and ask them. I don't care. People are pretty willing to talk. I asked around. I'm sure that I'm not the only one who has things that I don't know how to do. And I got quite a few interesting answers. One answer I got was a few people don't know how to do maths in their head. And I get that. I struggle too. I didn't mention it, but yeah, I do. I struggle too. Maths is hard. And to do it in your head, I have to do it on my fingers or I have to write it down. And even then I struggle. But yeah, I get that. The second one is tie shoelaces. And I thought, to a certain extent, me too. Of course, I can tie my shoelaces. But once it starts getting complicated, like with the double knots and the double tie, because I look at my daughter tie her shoelaces and I don't know how she does it because it's like she doubles it up and all that kind of stuff. Can't do, that's too fancy for me. So yeah, I get it. Some men admitted that they don't know how to tie a tie. And I get that too. If it's something that's not part of your attire, if it's something that you don't use regularly, then yeah, I can understand that maybe you don't know how to do it. I personally do, because when I went to school, I had a tie which was a part of the uniform. So I had to tie it every single day, so I learned. And lastly, what a lot of people struggle with, and that's the 24-hour clock. If somebody says, I see you at 1800 hours, they have no idea what time that is. Now, I know that because that's what we use here in Italy. But for example, in England, 4 in the morning is the same as 4 in the afternoon. Whereas in the 24-hour clock, 4 in the afternoon is 1600 hours. So yeah, that I do know. But I get that it can be complicated and I get it. So there you have it. I would really love to know what other normal everyday things that you can't quite master. If you feel like it, drop me a couple of lines in the comments down below. I would really enjoy reading them. If you've enjoyed this video and you've enjoyed spending time with me, then you might consider giving this video a thumbs up. Thank you so much for stopping by. It's always good to see you. Looking forward to seeing you again next time. But until then, be kind to yourself and to others. Take care. Bye for now. Ciao.